All right, my guest today, he is a talented star of both stage and screen. He's faced down everything from a vengeful great white shark to an evil alien overlord, and he has lived to tell the tales. I'm hoping he's going to tell some of those tales today.
Oh my
A big
God.
welcome to Lance Guest. Lance, welcome to
Hello.
Comic Book Central.
Hello, everyone. Good to
Wow,
see you.
happy 40th anniversary.
Oh
Is
yeah.
that a thing with
Yeah.
you? Is that a thing?
It's
Does that count?
July 13th, I think, or maybe 16th. I can't remember. But I
That
think
sounds
we
good. Somebody
opened
on the internet will correct us if it's wrong.
13th or 16th in 84, as I recall.
Man, look, obviously we're going to talk Last Starfighter. I had a
Hmm.
chance to interview Catherine Mary Stewart. We're going to talk that. We're going to talk
Yeah.
so much more. I want to go back a little bit though, because talking about comic books, we talk about genre projects, we talk about sci-fi. What kind of kid were you growing up? Was it Saratoga, California? Is that where you were born and raised?
Saratoga, yeah, yeah. Saratoga's a little different now than it used to be. Actually, a lot different now. Um, but it was there's like 30,000 people in the town. It's not a very big town, but it's really quite beautiful. Um, and it was primarily orchards and horses. Um, and when I was there, I mean, like when I was born there, and we were, we kind of everybody kind of built their own house, and then there was a tract that came in, and it came in. I don't know, maybe it might have come in at the exact same time I was there, or maybe a couple of years later, but it became more suburban, but it wasn't that really prior to that. And so it was like fruit, like I said, fruit trees and horses. And
Is this reminiscent at all of like Alex's World, like in the trailer park? Is it like
no,
sort
not
of
at
like
all.
that? Nothing
No,
like that.
much
Okay.
much nicer than the trailer park. Yeah, I
Okay.
mean,
I was thinking
although
sort of that small town cowboy wasn't like LA, like you weren't like
no, no,
bopping
no,
around. Yeah,
no,
right.
no, it's Northern California. It's or rather the Bay Area. And it's quite beautiful. I mean, it's right at the foot of these mountains, and there's like water there, so things grow. It's not really like LA. Um, I don't know. It's very beautiful.
Yeah.
I
What
was
kind of
very
kid were
lucky.
you? Like were did you groove on some of these things, or like I know you like music, the guitars nearby. Was it more
I
music? Was it more comic books? Was it more? And
well,
well,
I have to say, my comic book fascination was really mostly Iron Man and the Mighty Thor. That was kind of it, and I
that's
wasn't
good.
I
That's
wasn't there for
cred.
too long. I like the Fantastic Four, as I recall.
Nice.
Uh, Submariner, as I remember, was a TV show.
Yeah.
Um, I was mostly a Mad Magazine reader. I was not so much a
Nice.
comic book reader. I was a Mad Magazine reader.
You like the
Um,
satire, you like the
yes,
silly humor, you like the
yes.
bathroom humor that we all grew up on at
Well,
that.
those guys, I mean, I was telling you, those guys were good. Those guys were good satirists.
Yeah.
I was
Was it
like,
the usual
they did
gang of idiots? Is that how
the
they build
usual gang of
themselves?
idiots, right? Um, they did, what is it, Star Black and Botch Casualty and the
Yeah.
Sundance Kid.
Did they do Last Starfighter? I'm trying to.
I think they might have, but
Oh, I got to
I
go back
I sort
now.
of gave up after about, I don't know, seventh grade or something.
That's fair. No, a lot of
You
us
know,
did. I sold everything when I was 16, and I've spent, as you can see behind me, if you're watching the YouTube version, I've spent
yeah.
everything I've had trying to get it all back. So,
Oh yeah.
yeah, it's just I regretted that as a child, as a teen.
I have several friends that are big comic book guys, that have like boxes and
Okay.
boxes of old comic
Yes.
books, and
Oh
it's a
no,
bit.
it's all good stuff.
See, I was
Okay,
in the
so
theater, so I was in theater,
I
like
was going to say
theater and that
acting
stuff.
in theater. That was like, did that start in high school, Saratoga High
Yeah,
School, and then sort of went on
actually,
into college?
it started in junior high.
Oh, really?
Um, I did things in junior high. Yes. Uh, yeah, I was mostly, that's pretty much all I did when I was in high school. I did like the minimum, whatever you had to do to get into the UC. I was a
Right.
pretty good student, so my parents weren't going to let me get away with just like doing nothing. So I
Fair.
did whatever it took to get into the University of California, and then I was in rehearsal all the time.
Was
So
Rob Reiner the meathead? Was he the inspiration? I read somewhere, maybe I read wrong.
actually, when I was a
Was he your
kid, I used to
inspiration?
watch TV. He was my inspiration. Well, because prior to that, I didn't think of people on TV as having jobs. Like I thought, people that are on TV, they're just there for our entertainment. We didn't know anybody that was actually in the entertainment business. My cousin had gone down to LA. My cousin Jarian had gone down to LA when he was like, I was about 7 years old. and he had like tried out for some things. He'd done some work. He'd done a few TV shows and movies and stuff, but he didn't do it for very long. Then he came back, and then now he's a big theater actor up in the Bay Area. But let's see. I just didn't think of what's that noise? My dog. I didn't think of acting as like a job, and then I realized that when I would watch All in the Family, I found out that they would rehearse all week, and then they do this like 20-minute skit, the 20-minute show, and with whatever, obviously the 10 minutes for commercials and stuff, but 22-minute. And I thought, wow, that would be a great job. I would like that job. And the only guy that I could identify with was Meathead, because he was the tall guy and he was really, politically radical, and he was hilarious. And so that's why Rob Reiner was like my inspiration.
Okay. Did you ever work with him like all these years?
I never worked with him. I auditioned for him once.
You tell me you told him the story. This like you were my inspiration.
No, I didn't.
All right. That would have been too fanboyish. Yeah.
It was like, he was cool. He was a friend of my friend Daphne was in a movie with him, and I got his Springsteen tickets once. So it was kind of fun. I was like, Daphne's like, I got some Springsteen tickets. Rob gave me some Springsteen tickets and I don't have them. So, if you want to go pick them up, go give them. So I got Rob Springsteen in 1984. I got Rob Springsteen tickets.
What were you auditioning for? Was it like
The Princess Bride?
Princess.
Bride.
Okay. Well,
it was the worst audition I ever did.
Why?
And, yeah, it was like, I'm pretty good. I mean, I'm a pretty good actor, and I do pretty well in auditions. And I just did not get it. I did not get the humor, because I had the book, but I didn't read it. My girlfriend at the time had given it to me a long time ago. She's like, "This is a great book. You have to read it." And I was, yeah, I'll read it. If it wasn't a script, I didn't read it, So I didn't read the book, and I just did not. It's a very unique type of humor. And I did not get it at all. Like, I got it, like I thought it was funny, but in terms of performing it, it was god awful. And so I did it. I did the scene, I auditioned for Wesley, and I did the scene where I guess he's climbing up the thing right before he does the sword fight with Inigo Montoya. And I just had no sense of humor. And I'm a decent comic actor.
Yeah.
No, it was terrible. And so Rob
but if
said,
you don't get the tone,
do it again. Yeah, exactly. So he said, try it again, and he was really cool. He's like, just try it again. And so I'd auditioned for him before. I auditioned for The Sure Thing. And I did it again. And Rob looked at me and goes, you're a really good actor. Which means I think you're a good actor, but you're not going to get this part, because
not for this. Yeah. Hope for that Last Starfighter sequel.
So depressed. He was so cool and everything, but it's like, I had nobody to blame but myself. So
no, well, that's a lesson to all young actors out there. Do the preps. If there's a book, read a book.
Well, it didn't matter. It didn't matter. Sometimes you think you got it and you don't, and it just doesn't work.
That's fair. No, that's fair. Look, we're going to talk about some things today. There's The Last Starfighter you did get, that's, we love that. I want to talk about that. I want to celebrate the 40th anniversary. There's a couple of genre projects that you're involved with. I want to just mention briefly. Sure. First, are you tired of talking about Jaws: The Revenge? Or has there been are you flipping it around now as like, let's just Mystery Science Theater this thing and just have fun with it?
No, I don't, the weird thing is that no one talked about Jaws: The Revenge 10 years after it came out, or even when it came out. They only started talking about it recently.
Yes.
So, I am full aware of the shortcomings of Jaws: The Revenge.
That's fine. I just didn't know if you're tired of talking about it, or can you have fun with it?
Sure.
Like we do.
Oh yeah. I don't. I mean, it was, I did the best. It was a good script, when I got it, it was a good script. My excuse is that stuff that it was fast tracked. First of all, the movie was pretty fast tracked. It was like, let's do it. Okay, we're doing it. And usually it doesn't happen that quick. And some of the effects that they had written in that they wanted to happen couldn't really happen, because there was no CG. There was no efficient CG at that time. There was CG because, of course, The Last Starfighter. But
not in the water. That was still
it wasn't
decades away.
as economical to do it. So they still use the big puppet and the cranes
Right.
on the bottom of the ocean
Right.
so so there were things that you just couldn't do. And so they had to um we read through it a few times before we started filming, and then the day before we filmed it, we had a different script. And a lot of the scenes had been switched around. That was the day before we were to start filming. And they had switched scenes around to sort of make it work, to sort of avoid having to not do the effect that they were going to do.
Right.
So,
Because if you can't shoot the shark, you got
yeah,
to do
exactly.
something.
If you
You're in the
can't,
Bahamas. We
yeah,
can't waste a day filming. Let's get
yeah.
the actors and do
Well,
something.
there was a lot of that, but
Fair.
but uh, but yeah, it just was something that couldn't be done. It couldn't be done practically, and so the night before, I was like, oh no, because the my character, the sort of the trajectory of my character made sense in most of the drafts of the script that I read. And and it didn't quite make as much sense the night before we started. Because like I said, they just put scenes in different places, and there's
Right.
several different
Yeah, Michael
uh
slowly becomes a believer as it goes on. It's like, come on, mom. And then it slowly
yeah.
becomes a believer, but I can't tip everybody off because everybody will freak out.
Well,
So there's this sort of
it's what he
build.
does. It's the
Right.
behavior of
Uh,
what he does, and the script is written from the point of view of having to believe Michael.
yes.
In other words, the audience is supposed to sort of follow. They're not supposed to go, "What's that guy doing? He's an idiot."
Right.
They're not supposed to do that. They're supposed to think Ellen is a little crazy,
Right.
but they're not supposed to think Michael is. They're supposed to
There's no
think,
way she could have a
"Oh,
connection with the shark. There's no
yeah, yeah."
that's it. Michael's
And
the
Ellen,
grounded one. Right.
yeah, and they're supposed to go, "Oh God, what's happening to mom?" It's
Right.
she's supposed to be the one that's a little bit like
Yeah. She's lost her husband.
affected.
She's lost her
Yeah,
son. This is all impacting her.
and
Right. Right.
and Lorraine was great. I loved working with Lorraine. She's
Right.
such a nice lady. I thought she's a good actress. Um, but so I felt like the credulity of the piece rested on people understanding my motivations from point to point to point, and that just like totally fell apart before the first day of rehearsal. So I just was
Wow.
like, ah. So I mean, they're professionals. They hooked it together, and the editor talked with me and said, I saw what you were doing, and I really appreciate it, and that made me feel really good. So I tried to sort of string it together as I could, but you know,
No,
it
you
is what.
all are great in it. My wife and I just watched it again last night, and I was just like, I just enjoyed it on a different level. I just
Yeah.
watched it from a different perspective, and you all are great in it. The actors are just giving
Well,
everything. Michael
thank
Caine's
you.
amazing.
Oh
Like
yeah.
everybody's great. Van Peebles is great, and it's fantastic. It's just such an out there concept. I just wonder why did anybody ever figure out like why the screenwriters had to just have the Brody family in or the Brody kids and you're not Dennis Quaid from Three, you're a different
Yeah,
guy,
yeah.
and it's like, did anybody just go, can we just have a new group of people that are unrelated to the shark? Like, did anybody even think maybe let's just not call him Michael Brody?
I don't I
Giant
don't know.
picture of Roy Scheider in the background.
Yeah, I don't know.
All
I
right,
I I don't. Yeah, that's a good question.
it
I
was
don't
the
know.
80s.
My thing was I thought they would do real sharks, fake people. That's
Mm,
what I thought they should do. Is because just throw a dummy down there. He's not going to get hurt. You can just
yeah.
lay the effects in there later, and
Yeah.
just use real
Wow.
sharks, fake people. So because the fake sharks are just you can just kind of like after a while
Oh yeah.
it gets old. And the
You
shark would
felt
break.
Spielberg's pain. You felt his
Basic.
pain
Oh
of
yeah,
dealing. Yeah,
yeah.
four
Well,
films in, the shark still ain't working, right?
yeah, yeah. So yeah. So I didn't. The main problem was the sharks wouldn't work, and they had to live with what they got of the shark.
Yeah,
So everybody, like I said, they were all professionals. Everybody knew what they were doing. They were good people in every department. It's like
right.
it wasn't anybody's fault really. It just was a condition of. I mean, it took 5 months to shoot that film.
Yeah, and you were only supposed to be there for a certain amount of time. I think it
Yeah,
just went over. So it was like I think Caine got his a house paid off. You got a house paid off out of it. You all got to vacation in the Bahamas. He's like, not too bad for a flop, I think was his quote.
Yeah.
So, I got to ask you one question. We watched it last night. There's a scene at the beginning when before you head back down to the Bahamas with mom, where you just like you and your wife are talking and you just like take off running. Do you know what scene
Yes.
I'm yeah.
Yes, I do. I
Do you know
remember.
why? Why were you?
Well, I'm supposedly so upset about, I mean, I am upset about my brother's death,
Sure.
and I was frustrated, and the writer just decided that rather than talk it out, he was just going to run it out, you know?
Okay.
And so I just took off rather than yell at my wife. It's just, I just take all the aggression out in running. Something maybe
Okay.
he does, I don't know, but I just like sprinting across the thing. And we took several tapes of that, and I was very, very sore. If you're running, I'm running in boots on the sand, in December, in the middle of the whatever that
Okay.
is, Cape Cod,
It was.
whatever that ocean,
Have,
Bay of
have you seen
Boston.
it recently? Like,
No, I don't
all
think it's
right,
not
that's fine.
really recently. Why?
No, I'm just curious if like you watch some actors can like don't even watch your stuff. Some go back and
Oh
if
yeah, no, I've
something's
seen
on,
it.
they'll pop it on and
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, if it's on TV, sometimes I'll watch it a little bit, but
okay.
I know what
You get a
happens.
good Caine story? What's the best Michael Caine story? And what did
Oh
you learn
God,
from him?
it's always. Oh, he's so great. Well, what did he say? He said, "Look at the sun with your eyes closed. If you have blue eyes, they shine the lights in your eyes. You're doing this all the time. Like Steve McQueen and Clint Eastwood and those guys. They're always like
Yeah.
this all the time. That's because they shine the lights right into your eyes. If you have blue eyes, because it looks good, but it hurts." And so, and also if the sun is out, they use a lot of light. They used to use a lot more light than they use nowadays. And he just said, close your eyes, look at the sun right before the take. And when the take starts, your eyes are somehow accustomed to it and you can be relaxed. You don't have to do this.
Yeah.
But he also, I don't know, my big Michael Caine story is when the battery pack for the camera was sitting in the bottom of the little boat, the little motorboat that we took. And we turned around, and the cameraman and Mario were on the front of the boat, and 160-pound me and the motor were the back of the boat. So going this way, it was fine. And then when everybody moved over there, the boat sank. The boat just went down and all the water filled in. And John, the cameraman, threw the $200,000 camera onto the barge because he wanted to save the camera. And everybody dove out of the boat because they didn't know what to happen with the battery pack. And I just feel this hand come over and get the fuck out of the boat, is Michael Caine. And he yanks me out of the boat, make sure I don't get electrocuted, which makes me feel funny because I think it was yesterday that Donald Trump was talking about getting electrocuted from things
Man, you
like
just
this.
jumped.
And
Boy, did you just jump ahead.
I'm like,
Yes.
oh, Michael Caine. Oh my
My
God, I can't
first
tell that
thought was
story.
if somebody Googles battery, boat, and
Yeah.
shark, I really hope they end up with Michael Caine and Lance Gaston and not the other
Turns out
batteries.
they're encased in, plastic, but
Yeah.
nobody knew. So they just were
Right.
trying to be like, extra safe. So,
Yeah.
but I don't
Michael
know.
Caine saved your life.
Michael Caine saved my life, but yeah,
Who knows?
it was
Maybe,
weird when I when I heard
maybe the
when I
former
heard
president
Trump.
was onto something.
Yeah, when I heard him say that, I was like, oh God, there goes my
That
story.
was so fantastic. My first thought when I heard that story was Jaws the
Really?
Revenge.
Oh my
Yeah,
God. Oh,
well,
so
he was
you
telling it there. I'm like,
obviously
battery, yeah, battery and boat
you've
and
heard the
shark.
story. Oh yes, yes. Well, it's
I
kind of
love
the
it.
only good story I've got because a lot of
I
stuff
love
is
it.
sort of uneventful. You're making a film and you mostly want to you just want to try to get
Yeah.
the shots and you want it to make sense and you know everybody's under kind of a lot of pressure, but in another sense, we weren't because there were days when we go out. If the sea wasn't working, we still had to just kind of hang out there. So nobody
Yeah.
did anything. We just sort of sat out in the sun and it was very beautiful and we didn't do anything. So,
Yeah. No, I mean, look, it's getting a 4K release, I think, in a
yeah.
month, and we're still talking about it all these years later. So you did something right.
Well,
That you did something.
people do like it. So, and
It's
then the people
fun.
doing it were lovely. I mean, they were a good group.
If you watch it in the right frame of mind and with a nice stiff martini, I think you're good to
Yeah.
go. That's the way I say it. Real quick, X-Files. You got a good X-Files story? You're dealing with invisible animals
Uh,
and Gillian
let's
Anderson and
see.
David Duchovny. Did you have fun on that one, or was that just like
That
lost to
was,
time at this
uh,
point?
it was a little hard because I was cast like the night that I did my first audition. It's like they auditioned this part the day before it was to work in Vancouver.
Oh, wow.
And I auditioned for it in LA, and I got a call that night saying, "Can you be on a plane tomorrow at, 7 o'clock to be up in Vancouver?" And I was going skiing with my girlfriend's family at the time, um, on one of the days, and I was like, oh, shit. I was like, so I said, yeah, I can do it. And I'm in like, three scenes.
Right.
I'm like, is there any possible way I can get out, and in a couple of, like by this day? Oh yeah, sure, didn't happen. And I would say it's tricky. There was a disagreement between um, somebody in LA and somebody on set in Vancouver about the direction of my character.
Oh,
And
okay.
one of them wanted the character to be
He's an
this,
animal activist. He's sort of like a
yeah,
PETA, like
yeah,
sort of works for their version of
but like
PETA.
a kind of like a terrorist. I mean, he's like
He's,
a Earth
yeah,
first kind of,
yes,
kind of like we're gonna bomb. It's like he's
it's pretty
driving
close.
spikes into trees, kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's yeah. He's not like just super peaceful. He's a little bit of a
Hmm.
you
There's
know
an edge.
yeah. Um, and one of the people in control wanted a much more radical kind of like take no prisoners. I'm a radical guy. Deal with me. And the other was like, no, no, no. You can't. The guy can't be an asshole. You got to be on his side. You got to. And so one was like supposed to be sympathetic, and the other was supposed to be kind of edgy and unnerving.
Oh, wow.
And I was getting it from both sides, like how I was supposed to play the character. So it was very frustrating. So I did it one way, and I had to do it the way it was for the person that was directing me. So I did that, and then when I got back, I had to sort of redo the whole thing in post and do a different thing with my voice. And I don't know if it
Wow.
was successful. So it was very frustrating. And but it was nice to shoot up there. And X Files is a great show.
No, there's
Uh,
a level of sympathy, I think, for your character too, because spoiler alert, you don't make it through the whole episode. But like
yeah,
when you're
yeah.
gone, I'm like, oh, Lance Guest died. Like, so there's that. Did you audition real quick before we get to Last Starfighter? Did you audition for Fox Mulder originally?
Yes, I did. And interestingly enough, uh it was the guy was really high energy. I think they thought of him like, science geek or something. And he talked really fast, and he was really like, "Oh, let me tell you about this thing because my mind is going way too fast, and I got all this stuff to say." But blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
And originally, that's the way Fox was. And then you get to David Duchovny, and David Duchovny, he's like, "Yeah, now this is happening. Now this is happening." He's like super cool. So
Yeah.
it was kind of funny. So it's like, well, I guess they went another way.
That's amazing. It would have been interesting to see that hypermanic take on
Yeah.
it and what Gillian Anderson would have done
Yeah,
with that.
it was kind of, yeah, it was weird because you could tell by the description of the character and the way all the
Oh yeah.
things were. And I don't know, kudos to Duchovny for being like, hey man, what if we just do it this way? How about that?
Yeah.
So it worked for him. He was great. He was great at
I
it.
did. I just thought that was interesting that you ended up on the show anyway. Last Starfighter, again, 40th anniversary celebration. Look, when I tell people I'm interviewing Catherine Mary Stewart about this, when I tell people I'm interviewing Lance Guest about this, and you've seen this at conventions, you get it now. 40 years on, their eyes like light up. And I was at a family reunion recently, and my cousin I just mentioned, and his eyes lit up, and he became like a 14-year-old boy again. And it was just
Uh,
like, no, it's it's this beloved film. And I think if correct me if I'm mistaken, but just there's a 4K release coming out for the 40th, or it's out. You and your
yeah,
son did a
yeah,
comment.
yeah.
I didn't get this. I got the 25th anniversary version. That's what I'm digging on right now. But it's
Oh,
like
that's just a straight up DVD, right?
that's straight up DVD. There's extras on it and stuff like that. But it's just like you sat down with your son and watched this. I got to get a
Yeah,
copy of this. I think it's a UK company that I
yeah.
gotta like schmooze.
Arrow,
Uh,
Arrow Video.
Era Video
It's
put it
and
out. Yeah, but
it's a 4K scan as far as I know.
yeah. What was
Uh,
that like to watch? Had your son seen it before? How did
oh
that come
yeah, oh
about? What
yeah.
did you to walk me through that?
Well, he was probably 16 at the time, 14, 15, I can't remember when it was, but
Perfect
he
age.
was he was like, yeah. And so I was like, Jack, why don't you do it with me? Why don't you have, you'll have some stuff to say. And
Yes.
he said, okay. So we I have this kind of I have a sort of make do screening room in my house down in the lower part. It's like a basement. It's got these big huge speakers for like a PA for the, all the music is done down there. And so we put a screen down there. So we're sitting there. It's kind of like being in a real theater, so we have our things all, we have our microphones, and I think we did it on an iPhone. We
Hmm.
did all the stuff on the iPhone, and while it's happening, I'm just talking, and I had to speed up a lot of it. I'm actually talking pretty rapidly during some of it because the director they wanted more information during a smaller amount of time. So I'm speaking
Okay.
really quickly. But yeah, it was fun. It was the third time they've had a commentary. I think the
Yeah,
first time
director
was,
and producer.
yeah. Um, of the three releases, there was like a VHS one, and then there was the 25th, and then there was, I don't know, maybe there was two DVDs before ours. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then there was this 4K scan one.
Had you seen it in a while, or were like you watching it cold and remembering things? And what did you
Nah,
take
I
from it? And
know.
what did your son take from? Okay.
I've seen it every 5 years. They do this. It was the 35th, then there's the 30th, and
Okay, fair.
so
Yeah,
I know, I'm
you
pretty
got
familiar
it.
with it. So
What'd your
I
son
don't.
think of it?
Oh well, I mean, he's known about it since he was born, basically. So I
Yeah.
think the first time he saw it, he was probably 5 years old. Maybe not even that. First time he saw it, I think he saw it on the big screen on like the 20th anniversary, I think.
Okay.
Right? 84. Yeah. No, he was, wait, no, that's not right. No, he was born on the 20th. He was 5 years old. It was the 25th anniversary.
Okay.
And I was in Chicago doing a play, and he was with his mom, and they were at I think it was the New Art Theater in LA. I can't remember. But he, you know, he was he was he stood up. Everybody said, "Oh well, Lance is whatever." I think Kathy
Yeah.
was there, and she was like, "Oh yeah, Lance couldn't make it, but his wife and his son are here." And
Yeah.
Jack just sort of stood up, waved at everybody. He was five.
Yeah.
Um, uh, I don't know. I mean, he liked it. He liked it, but when it's your dad doing something like this, it's not the same as as anybody else doing it.
Right. Or
Like
seeing it cold. Yeah. No, it's cool that you got to chat about it with him. I got this cast is unbelievable. I mean, like how great is Catherine Mary Stewart? I mean,
oh
in
yeah,
all.
no, I love her. Yeah,
Did you
Catherine's
have a
great.
crush on her like we all did, even if you're filming
Oh
it? You
sure.
had to. Okay. I mean, the chemistry between you two is off the charts. It's so fantastic.
She's so much fun to work with, and it was really a it's really got lucky. Really, usually a lot of times there's like all this conflict, and there's this sort of battle for dominance, and
Yeah.
with people when they work together. But she was just absolutely a joy, and it was so much fun, and just I don't know, we just really worked. It was really fantastic.
And the Robert Preston being in it, first of all, Hollywood legend, that had to be mind blowing too. But it's just
Yeah.
like there's almost like this Michael J. Fox, Christopher Lloyd uh relationship between you two. Like, do you get that, or did you sense that at the time, or did you kind of feel like
Well, we did it first,
this?
so that didn't exist.
Right.
Because
Okay.
Michael J. Fox, Christopher,
So
we
there
did it a
was a
year
Lance
before.
Guest Robert Preston dynamic in Back to the Future.
Except, in the case of Chris and Mike, they're like this. In the case of Bob and me, it was like this.
That's true. That's
Bob's like
true.
maybe 5'8".
Your
Actually,
action figure would be much taller.
Mike used to live, I lived in my college apartment. Mike lived two doors down from me in my college apartment in like 1980 to 1982, I think.
Okay.
And so I remember his phone went out. He didn't pay his phone, but he was really broke.
Right.
And he came up and he was he came over and said, "Hey man, I'm expecting a phone call." I gave him your number. Um, do you mind, just grabbing me and yeah, sure, man, whatever. So
Yeah.
I'm reading the papers. I'm knocking. Our phone rings. Hello, can I speak with Michael J. Fox, please? Oh yeah. Knock, knock, knock. Mike, phone. So he comes over. Yep, yep. Great, great. Family ties deal. So like I was there,
Were
it's
you
like,
one of the
was it
ones
good?
buying pieces of his sectional couch as he was
I
selling it up?
was. I was the guy.
Yeah.
That was me.
Yes. I never knew the other side of that story. Now I
That
do.
was
It's
me.
Lance Guest. That's
Yes.
so
Well, it
fantastic.
was one of those ones at the corner. So
Yeah.
I didn't have room for a corner. So he
Right.
sold me, half of the corner.
That's great. That's great.
It's
Hey, look,
great.
he should have put you in a Back to the Future movie. That should have
Oh
like,
yeah.
come on, pay a
Ah,
little payback here.
that's all right.
What were your favorite memories of
I
filming The
wish him the
Last?
best, by the way.
Of course,
Um,
yes, yes, yes. What were your favorite
uh,
memories of filming The Last Starfighter? Because this is like, I knew you were a stage actor, so you're like
yeah.
acting against actors. You're there's props, there's real things there. But with The Last Starfighter, it was like so far ahead of its time. And it's like the advent of CGI, and you're acting against nothing in many cases. Like, did you
Well,
have
in many,
questions? What were the
a lot,
challenges for you?
a lot of times you're always acting against nothing because if you're working with a kid and the kid's got to go to school, they give you a piece of tape and they stick it on a like a whatever a bumper pole or whatever, like you 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 have to talk to the piece of tape because the kid's not there, he's in school.
Right.
So so a lot of times that's none of that was changed. So what we did, the only adjustment we made was Nick, the director, would say, okay, this is what's happening here. There's something going over here, and there's something that's going to crash over there. And then some guy hitting these bang sticks together and make a big spark. That was what we reacted to. And so we were reacting to something, or we were reacting to the car going over the cliff. But I'd have to say a lot of acting in any kind of effects movie, CGI or not, you're acting to something, you're reacting to something that isn't there because it's being done, it's being tricked, it's being done, being manipulated. Whether you're in a car that someone's like, moving or, I mean, so that kind of a
Right.
thing. So it really wasn't any different. It's just that what was different is nobody knew what the effects were going to look like. They didn't know
Mm.
if it was going to be good or not. So there was a tremendous amount of pressure on the producer and the director and people actually responsible for making the film because they didn't know what it was going to look like. It was the first time they ever did anything like this.
Yeah.
So, and it took a long time. It took like 45 minutes to do 1 second of action. And it was, you know, it was, it was tricky. So that's what was hard. It wasn't really that hard for the actors, again, because it wasn't that much different than a pre-CGI movie.
Right.
The stuff has to be described to you anyways.
And
You
you're
know,
playing two characters in the film too, because at some point you have to go off and be the last starfighter, which
yeah.
is very cool. But then they have to put a replacement there so they don't think Alex is gone. So you play this robot Beta. How did you approach playing Beta? I read somewhere that like there was like maybe a couple of things you tapped into that.
Well, I always say my friend FJ Pratt from school, from UCLA. Is that a great name, FJ Pratt? I mean, come on.
Yes.
Um, he was a great comic actor at school, and he just had this sort of sense of total bewilderment and ability to just sort of fly by the seat of his pants in any sort of situation, and he always made that funny. Like I'd always saw him just like panicked, but be able to sort of, he had this sort of comic sense of doing it. He ultimately became a writer. But so I just did FJ. So because
Did
the
he know that? Did
beta
you ever
was
tell him
really,
that?
I've told it them recently. I have, yeah,
Yeah.
but I didn't tell him
Okay.
that at the time.
Right.
Because I didn't know. I didn't really know. I had just done a play. I don't know, like the year before. We did this theater company I was in. We did a production of Romeo and Juliet in a basement, and he would just find bits. He would just find little bits to do, and he would have little funny things that he did. I saw he was great in this production of Waiting for Godot. Um, I don't know. I just sort of tapped into that, and it was easy for me to do, but I kind of based it on him. And the thing about Beta is just Beta's a blank slate. So there's no backstory, there's no anything. Everything is brand new to him
Right.
at the moment. So
Right.
he's a little bit like Vision in the MCU. He's just born. So except Vision's much more serious. Beta was sort of supposed to be hysterical. So
Still, it's a comic relief too.
yeah.
So with Beta, correct me if I'm wrong. Is this a true story? They did a test screening of The Last Starfighter, and the comedic aspect of what you were doing was starting to play so well with the audience. They were like more and more and more, and you had to go back and
That's true. Yeah. I can't remember. It was the head taking the head off,
right. Yeah, he's
and
in the thing.
another.
It's night. His little brother's in the bed, and
Yeah,
there's something in his ear, and it's a little wonky.
yeah, yeah.
So he has to take the head off and fix the head. Yeah, right.
There's that, and then there's the truck, the pickup truck, where he just starts laughing like a total idiot. And everybody looks at him like, "What the wrong with him?" Um, yeah, there were those two, and we came back and did those March of '84. So I was living in New York at the time, so I had cut off all my hair. So
You were doing another movie. It was like set in the
yeah,
50s.
yeah. I
Yeah.
actually did that in Chicago, but then
Okay.
I'd cut so much of it off that it hardly grew back at all. So
So you had this,
I had this like '80s whatever David Hasselhoff haircut.
right.
Um,
It didn't
and
even match your actual haircut, but who cares, right?
yeah, so I got a wig. They gave me this wig.
Right.
Um, and then I whatever. We shot for a week, and we did some Alex things too. They changed the ending. Um,
What was the original ending? I don't know if I've heard this story.
I was told what the original ending was because I'd forgotten it, but we did it in a theater. We did it in they shot it in a theater, and I totally forgot it. And they said we're reshooting the ending. We did it on a soundstage with the green screen, the new
Yeah.
green screen.
Yeah, yeah. So
I
what we see there with the legs of the ship and the whole thing, like that was all just redone based on what,
I'm
so they
saying the
changed all
ending.
that.
No, I mean the ending where not the very ending, but the
Yeah.
ending where they're on Rylos and I'm being
Oh,
congratulated, and
yes.
Centauri's still alive. Spoiler.
Okay.
Um,
You're
uh,
alive.
yeah, I thought you were dead.
I thought you were
Um,
dead. That's
I
why.
asked. I took that from Nick Castle co-wrote Escape from New York with John Carpenter,
Yeah.
and I
And he
saw.
was, people know he was the original Michael Myers, I think, in
Yes.
okay.
And so Nick and I saw the screening of Escape from New York because I was doing Halloween 2 prior to that, after
Right.
that, and
Yeah, yeah.
the gang from Escape was the same gang that did Halloween 2. So the crew, all they would talk about Escape New York, and so I got to go to the screening of that, and I loved Escape from New York. I thought it was fantastic,
Yeah.
and they were always saying that to Snake Plissken. I thought you were dead. So I asked Nick, I'm like, can I say that to Centauri? And as a little Easter egg for you guys,
Yeah.
just do it.
That's
So
nice.
I did.
Oh, that's perfect. That's a
I
nice
was
little thing we can watch. Look, it's Comic Book Central. I asked Catherine about this. Look, I got to do you got the comic books? Do you have them?
oh yeah, I got him. I got him.
You got them
Yeah.
all? Like,
There's
here's
three of
the
them, right?
well, there's three of these. There's you. If you're watching the
Well,
YouTube channel, there's
there's
you. But
three different.
this is all of them combined in the Marvel
Oh,
Super
I don't have
Special.
that. I don't
Okay, you
have
don't
that.
have, they made her look different.
Oh yeah. They made
Yeah.
her look like somebody from Baywatch or something.
They, okay, well, they gave
They
you
made
your
me
Hades
look
hair.
they made me like, more like
Yeah,
big muscles and stuff like that.
a starfighter. How were you like? Does your kid's Jack, right?
Yeah.
Does he know dad has his own comic book? All right.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know.
And his own book and
With the
record set?
he might even be wearing his shirt. We got a shirt from a friend of mine. It looks like your shirt, except it's all blue. I don't know if he's wearing it right now.
Okay.
He's bigger than me, so
Oh, wow.
yeah, he's bigger than me. He's taller
You
than
may
me.
have answered my next question then.
Yeah, no, he's a lot bigger than me. Not a lot.
Does
He's
he
1 inch
got
taller than me.
is he gone into acting?
No, but he can. He's good, but he's more
Willie.
interested in filmmaking, in
Okay.
editing and
Okay.
stuff
So
like
he
that.
can make a film. He knows how to make a film.
He knows he can edit. Yeah, he's edited a few things.
Okay. You know where I'm going with this.
Yeah, you talking about? Sadly, I have no say over
But you're the
the
last
sequel.
starfighter.
I know I'm the last star.
Okay, first of
Um,
all, before I ask this, did they at the time? I look, I know I always kind of put this in the category of the Rocketeer of
I
great
auditioned for
idea,
that
great.
too.
Oh,
Auditioned for that too.
Billy Campbell beat you out.
I know. I
It's
really wanted to do that. That was looked really fun.
Oh, that would have been cool. But I kind of put
Yeah.
in that category of great concept, family fun, a thrill ride, Indiana Jonesy, Star Warsy, adventuresy, and just didn't click. For whatever reason, I have no idea why. Did they talk in the years after the last Starfighter of like, because it doubled its budget? Like, I think it cost 15, I think it made 30. Like, did they ever talk in the years after, like, what, let's do one? I'm talking like
Well,
the earlier, like maybe 90s.
when you say doubled its budget, that's it's you actually need to do better than triple your budget in
All
order for
right.
it to make money.
Even back
It's
then.
not, yeah, yeah,
Even back
it's
then. Okay.
prints and advertising, and also there's an extra cost that is uh you have to make over three times what it
Okay.
costs.
Because you were fighting Ghostbusters, you were fighting Gremlins, you were fighting Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, you were fighting everything.
Yeah,
Um, okay. Did
I
they ever
didn't
talk
know.
about
I
a
mean, I'd never
sequel
done it.
or
Well, they have in the last 20 years.
now,
Um,
but not at the time they weren't.
but it wouldn't be they, it would be, John and Nick, and
Right.
the studio never was like, well, we have to do a sequel. They
Yeah.
were like, movie didn't make any money,
Okay.
next.
Yeah. Okay.
So
There's a script, right?
there is, I think, or there's an idea. I mean, there's a script
Yeah.
and an idea. I haven't read the script.
Okay.
But I know that they're just trying to work it out. I'm not the,
Okay.
I'm not the director, so I'm not the person they approach.
I
uh,
look, I asked this because I asked Catherine Mary Stewart, I'm like, hey, what would you like, Alex and Mags to be doing? She's like, oh, that'd be so cool if they were like on Earth and like living a normal life and but protecting some deep dark secret. And I thought that seems wildly specific for an actress 40 years removed from a film to to be right there. It does her description of what she would like, does that mean anything to you? Does that sound familiar to
well,
you at all?
uh, I think that
And what is
I
this deep
think
dark
that
secret you're protecting, Lance Guess?
I wish I
Mhm.
could say. I can't
That's all
really
right.
say,
I
and
get
I
it.
don't really know anything beyond a somewhat vague concept. But I feel
Okay.
like the people that wrote it, I think they should be allowed to present it in the way that they want to present it,
Yeah.
and not have me sort of, well, this is what I think.
Okay.
I think they have
You
to,
do it in a heartbeat.
yes, absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely,
You'd suit up.
absolutely.
You'd are you okay? So let me ask you then, hypothetically, what would you like Alex and Mags to be doing? Is it very close to what Catherine Mary Stewart said?
Well, I
Is
think
Jack
I
suiting
here's
up?
here's all I can tell you.
Did you keep the
I don't,
suit?
yeah, I don't think that's really how it works. I mean,
Okay.
if I was, I don't know, the son of a tri-generational studio head or something, maybe I could say, yeah, but I'm
Right.
I'm the guy from Saratoga.
But what would you do? Would you
um,
and Mags be off like because you left? Would you be out there fighting stuff and doing things and like having
I would
little
say,
starfighters, or would you be on Earth and be like there'd be something like what's
well,
going
I
on
would
here?
say we would definitely have children because you can't make a movie like this and not have children. So it's
Especially
not,
if
they're
it's
not
called
going
the
to
Last
watch, they're
Starfighters.
not going to, yeah, they're not going to watch me and her, the demo is not,
We would,
well, I know, but
because you guys look great. She hasn't aged a day. You haven't
oh
aged a
yeah,
day. You got
no,
the beard, but I mean,
no,
come on.
yes,
You shave the
yeah,
beard,
I
you're
know.
good to go.
I guess, yeah, I don't know.
Or do the
um,
RDJ. Do the RDJ.
who?
The Robert Downey Jr. You could do a
Oh
little
yeah,
Tony
yeah.
Stark thing. Yeah,
Oh God,
you could be like the Robert Preston character, maybe, right?
I wish it was that easy.
Oh my God, I'm trying here. I do what I
I know,
can. I
I
do what
know.
I can. But go ahead.
Yeah, no, I imagine, like I said, they definitely got to have children, and they definitely have to, re-enter something that is similar than the last one. So there has to be some kind of, who knows? I mean, when you think about, like, because of course I've thought about it. I think I wrote, a long script 20 years ago, because I thought nobody was doing anything with anybody. So
Oh wow.
I wrote a script, I
What
don't have the rights to it. I just did it for like, if it happens that they need a script, I've got one.
but what did you do with
Um,
the character? That's what I'm asking you. What did you do with
it doesn't
them?
it doesn't matter now because
Oh, I
it's not
tried.
going to be that way.
All right.
It's not going
I
to be it.
tried. I
Um,
tried.
but
You can email to me. I'll read it by myself.
but basically, what you end up thinking, the reason I said that is that what you end up thinking about is, uh, do they go to the other planet? And how long do they stay at that other planet? And what do they do on that? Do they make that their home, or is it just like, okay, we're here to fight the war, then we got to go back home, or what? So you have to make a decision about, is that the place that Alex has been trying to get away to get out to, or is it not? And
Okay.
because I have to say, a lot of the charm of the film is that it's not completely science fiction. It's
Yes.
it takes place with also real people doing real things, and even if, it's like, I guess they did that a little bit with the Marvel movies. They have a lot of
Mm-hmm.
that take place, on Earth. Um, I think that's key to its success. So I think there has to be a bit of a split time between Earth and not Earth. So
Yeah.
that so
That
that's about as general as I can. That's about as
No, that
specific as I
explains
can be.
Catherine's comment. That
Yeah,
that puts it in context because even the director on the last commentary, they said it was they had so much crazy stuff going on in the advent of CGI that they had to ground these characters on
yeah,
Earth.
yeah,
And you learn about these characters, not just them, but the people in the trailer park. Like it's this
yeah,
like this community, and you care about them then so that you care about them when what happens when things go crazy and it's all computers. And now with in 2024 or whenever it comes out, the sequel, we know we're going to get it. It's like you got new CGI, and it'd be interesting to see what 84 CGI at its infancy, and then you compare it to now, what you can
well,
do with
yeah,
that.
yeah. I mean, you can do that, and you can do that on your phone, as they say.
Yeah.
You could
Yeah.
do what those guys had a computer as big as a room, were doing at that time. Now you can do that in your phone. So
Right.
um, it's been a long time, and I just have to say that the film industry, uh, owes a lot to the Last Starfighter for kind of
Yes.
being the virgin voyage in a way.
Yeah.
I mean, I know Tron did very very similar stuff, and it predated us, but there was a lot. The CGI was more specific in ours and a little more articulated and stuff.
It
Um,
was, and it was action oriented, and it was character driven, and it
yeah,
was even before I think Young Sherlock Holmes, if I'm not mistaken, like the first
yeah,
CJ. Like you guys were doing things. It would be just so amazing to see that as it happens now. You answered my question, like why does this movie resonate with people 40 years later? I think it is that it's that
yeah,
earthbound, character driven. We care about these characters. We want to see what happens, and they can make you look like 1984 again, like you could have like a flashback sequence with you and
yeah,
Catherine Mary
sure,
Stewart, although you guys
yeah.
both look pretty close. It's like
Well,
you would have
nice
to
of
do
you to
much.
say.
No, I mean
uh,
it's look, you shave the beard, you just add,
yeah,
but a little bit,
add
but
some
it's you're
hair.
good to go. I know, I get it,
Uh,
I get it. Like
but
we're all there.
what I was saying before. Oh, I think what I always say about this compared to something like Star Wars. Star Wars is an entirely different world. It's
Yes,
galaxy far away long ago. So it is a completely different world with its own set of reality. You jump on the speed bike and you go across the desert and things just happen. You can travel to planets the way we travel to different cities, and it just has a different reality, and you accept it, and you want to be there, and you want to be in the Star Wars world, and you want to do all that stuff. And that's not what's exciting about that is like, wow, I can't believe they're doing that. Whereas with Last Starfighter, because it's set in somewhat in reality, it is kind of, wow, I can't believe they're doing that.
yeah.
You know what I
It
mean?
is it
So
is amazing.
it's
It's
an
perfect. Yeah,
added
because when they
sort of
get to
thing.
Alderaan, it's normal. When they get the Death Star,
Yeah,
it's normal. You have to react to those things as
yeah.
if, oh my God, I was just playing
And
a video game. So,
that makes it fun. That makes it real fun.
RetroCon 2024, September 7th and 8th in Oaks, PA. You and
Folks,
Catherine Mary Stewart. Yeah, so get your tickets now
get
and
your
meet the
tickets now.
legends. Get
Yes,
to meet
thank
the
you.
legends. Lance, happy 40th. You've given us so much.
Oh,
Uh,
actually, oh, thank you, thank you. I was thinking
no,
about
I
that.
just
Um,
Go
uh,
ahead.
no, we're doing something I'm doing a shark thing in, I think I'm doing a shark thing in, Tampa, Florida, I think.
I'll figure it out. I'll put the link in the show notes.
Yeah.
Get your
It's,
tickets for Sharks. Get your tickets for Last Starfighter. You're a legend. And we hope to see you
thanks, man.
more. Thank
All
you
right,
so much for
Joe.
your time. Thank you for everything. Thank you for these films. And we know we're going to see these folks again, Alex and
All
Mags. We
right.
know we're going to see
I
them
hope
again.
so. I hope so. All
Thank you
right.
so much.
Nice talk to you, Joe.